This ticket video, we're going to demonstrate certificates related skills for a junior sysadmin. Now, I highly assume you went through the installation certificate services on the server level and you learned how different type of certificates are available and what do you have to do on the server. And you also then went through the configuration. But there is another very common one that we need to discuss for a junior sysadmin, which you may be getting tested in interviews, most likely for this one, and that is basically when you have a web server running inside your company. And if you are working for a Microsoft focused company, most likely they're using IIS on premises, or maybe they're using now these days, even this sort of skills or this sort of web services are available on the cloud, app services and different type of technologies available to us. But we're going to be discussing on premises now. Then this, when you go to a company, you basically will have some sort of, let's say, a data center. So let's say this is a data center, and in that data center, there's this server called web server, and that's what they name it. So let's say they have, let's say, a lot of virtualization going on, and in one server, one VM, which is a virtual server, that is a web server. I'm just going to call it W, and in that we have, let's say, 2019 server install, and then they install IIS, which is basically the web server of Microsoft. And through this web server they are offering a website. This website could be a static website, a very database type of website. Many different type of sites are available. Whatever it is, they are serving their website through IIS. So think about it. They're not going to serve most likely HTTP anymore, which is a very old type of ways, and they're unsecure. They're going to probably offer it through secure channel, and for that they need HTTPS enabled, and for that to be working, they need SSL certificate. So in most cases, this is a very common thing you have to do in the companies. Even now, when we say we are hybrid, when I say we are hybrid these days, this means a lot of companies are still using on-premises VMs. They have VMs, they have local websites, they have private websites for customers that maybe you don't see on Google and stuff like that, but it's there. People are using it a lot. So when you go to the companies, they may ask you, do you know or do you have any experience with installing a certificate for the web server using IIS, or can you show us how to do it? And that could be a simple installation, or they may say, do you know how to create a like a private SSL for the website, so they can test you on these things. So let's go ahead and spin up the lab and let me show you how you will basically do this on a private level, and also maybe use some sort of blogs and different type of well-known vendors out there. They have blogs available on how to install certificates in this scenario. So under the ticket video, go ahead and launch the. So here's a quick warning. Whenever we are doing something custom like this, it will not be supported. So if your screen looks like this, make sure to hide it. And you cannot reach out to this support because they will not know what we're doing. So make sure to follow my video step by step. So let's go ahead and turn on all of the devices. Just a quick warning that this is not about web server training at this point or a project. We're going to have to do a web server related project later on, totally dedicated to IIS. For this, just know that when you go to the companies, they will have domain controller servers running already. And maybe, let's say, for example, PLAB M01 is one of their web server when you go to the company. So it will be already running in most cases. You're not going to be the one who's going to be building a new solution for a company. When most likely when you get hired as a junior sysadmin, this means they already have a web server running, website, clients, customers, or local sites running. So in most cases, when you open a server like this, it's going to be under tools and it will say IIS manager 6.0 blah blah blah. So what you need to do is you need to go to the manager manage, and this is like if somebody before you have to do this part, that's how they have done it. So you'll go to add roles and features, and you're basically going to do next, and we're going to click next, next. And here you see there's this web server option available. So we're going to go ahead and enable that and add feature and click next. And basically once you click next, you can see that we have other options available here if you would like to pick some extra options. So we're going to go ahead and click next. We're not going to pick anything in there. Click next again. And now this is an actual web server features now. So in most cases, when you work in a company, if they have something extra, sometimes they will add, let's say, custom logging or login tools or tracing, depending on how extensively they use their web server. They will come and do these things right here. If they have a FTP or the FTP server, they'll probably come over here and enable that from here. So you can see you can actually enhance your web server, from this area. So we're not going to pick anything here. We probably don't need anything at this point because this is just to show you about the web server, how it's done. We're going to do another project on this. So we're going to click next here and install the web server on this server. All right, so once the installation is completed, you can go ahead and close this. And now if we go back to our tools, we see that Internet Information Services IIS Manager is installed, and you can see it on the left side as well. So let's go ahead and open that. This is where most of the time, if someone say we are running a website in our web server, which is the IIS Microsoft Web Server, then this is what they mean. This is the meaning of, like, literally that's the meaning of that sentence. So this is where, of course, when you don't have too much knowledge about web server, that's where it's going to be tested, because you will need to know a lot more than just certificate. But in most cases, you're going to come across this server name. The sites will be here, and when you expand it, that's where you're going to see multiple websites in that company. It's really up to them how they have designed it, but in most cases, that's how it's going to be. So it depends on where they put their certificates, whether it's on the server level or the site level. That's really up to the company. Okay, so in most cases, if you come over here, you see this is a default, the default site on this server. So if I click here, SSL settings, if I double click here, you see there is no SSL settings available for this. That's because there's no HTTPS binding, and right now it tells you on the right side that that's specifically. So if the question was that we need to do this, most likely they are in this stage where it's running as of HTTP server website. So if I click here, you see I can open this by clicking on the browse, and it's going to open this website in the browser. So it's going to look something like this. So in most cases, you're going to be given that certificate type of ticket where they say, I want to make this HTTPS. Can you put it on? There's a new certificate that we just bought it from this company. So you may have to go to the company, you may have to open the email, you may have to open the blog or whatever you can to understand how to deploy that certificate. In most cases, every big companies or vendors already have blogs available on how to implement their certificates. But let's say you come over here, somebody's just testing you. Can you create a private certificate? So what you can do is you can go to this server right here, and you see how we have certificate available. So if I double click here, you see there's no certificate available. So here we can import a certificate. If we get it from some company, we can import that by clicking here, and you just have to get that specific certificate. If it requires a password, you will probably have to import it. And here's another one. It says complete certificate request. You can actually do that as well. You can create the whole certificate, complete a previously created certificate request by retrieving the file that contains the certificate authority response. So sometimes if they have the certificate available, you will basically go and find the certificate, download it. However, a company basically asks you to do that, you're going to get that, download it from them, and then once you have the certificate, you will have it available here. You'll give it a friendly name, and then basically you will put the personal and then finish this process. If someone say, can you show me how to create a self-signed certificate, which you can use it for local purpose, meaning it's still going to give you that little option, but still it will be hosted on HTTPS, or sorry, it's going to be served on HTTPS for the report. So you can create a certificate from here by clicking here, and right now we're going to give it a demo name and then click OK. So we just created a certificate right now. So I can export the certificate if I want to. I can leave it here for one of these websites. So if someone say, can you basically put this certificate on this website and make it 443, so you can come over here and you see the only port that is running this website is port 80, which is not secure. So how you're going to do this, you're going to click on add, and here we will select HTTPS, and this you can keep it unassigned. Now of course, when you start working in a company, they may give each website a static IP address. So that is something, when you click here, you will see those IP addresses if it's added to the server. Again, we're not going to go a lot deeper right now, because you may say, how do you add a second IP address? To quickly tell you, you can add a second IP address through your network adapter. So once you go to the network settings of this server, you can add many IP addresses as long as it's defined in your DNS server. So that's something we will discuss later on in the DNS section. So here we're going to keep everything like this. You see HTTPS is given, 443 port is what we use for security, secure port, and then here is a SSL certificate, and that's where you can come in and see how many certificates are available in your company. So if you have different type of vendors, it will show up right here. So we created our own self-signed certificate, so it's showing up here. I can verify by clicking here. You see it's 2025, and then I click OK here, and now we are running our website on port 80 and port 443. So let's close this, and let's check it by clicking on 443. So once my website is open through 443, you can see this is a 443 by HTTPS. You're going to definitely get this message because it's a self-signed certificate. If it was bought by some sort of company, it would have, all that authority and everything would have happened by now through the web, and everything will be good to go. If I do more information right here, you can see it's telling me all that information. It's invalid. So I'm going to click continue, and I'm good to go. So this is how a normal companies will have some type of tickets like this. Definitely, because a lot of companies are using client, and that's how they make money. So whether it's education service, whether it's a product, whether it's a some sort of legal stuff, everybody have websites. Now the one thing I'm going to recommend is that go to Google and type just like type something like this, how to install IIS certificate DG search. Now the reason I said DG search, because it's one of the very well-known companies. Now of course we're not getting paid by them, but it's one of the companies that you're going to come across inside your career and working with different type of companies. A lot of people use different type of vendors. So this is DigiCert is well known. So if you click on the first link, it teaches you how to do this kind of stuff, like how to create a CSR. Basically, these are the things that you may come across where people say, hey, we need to create a CSR, and then you need to install a certificate. So they will show you exactly step by step, and exactly what I did. They're showing you how they went to the IIS, then they created it. There's a common name. You need to put your company name, organizational name, all that stuff when you put out there. And then, all of these step by step information out there. Then you're going to get the certificate request. And then how do you install it on your server? Everything that I showed you is there as well. But this is more an official, and how vendors or the product works in the real market or the real websites. So take some time and open this type of links in your own home browser computer. Don't open it inside the lab, because the resolutions and everything will be bad. All you're doing is basically you're going to these different type of vendors, especially the DigiCert that I showed you, and just go in there and just get yourself familiar with this stuff. Like, you can play around with your own server, but of course you're not going to get these real certificates because you have to buy them. So definitely go through these type of blogs and then get an idea, because as soon as you start working in a company, you are either working on one, or you're going to be definitely doing this in an interview. If somebody really want to test you and they want to hire somebody with at least a minimum amount of experience with certificate, they will test you on the things that I just showed you. Thank you.